This is Mrs. Sue Hobart. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Can you talk today about symptoms you've been having since the Wind Turbine went online near your home, and especially how the symptoms have either how they vary with what the turbine is doing, or when you go away, what you notice, and when you come back? And just, how old are you?
I'm 54.
Great.
When it first went on last summer, it was July, and we were working pretty hard. I worked pretty hard in July and August and September, and I started to get dizzy and headaches, just off balance. And I work outside and inside a lot, so I'm pretty active, and that's pretty unusual for me. And that's kind of the first time I had to ever have dizziness of any kind. But, being 54, I kind of attributed it to my age and working too hard or menopause or whatever. Didn't really put two and two together. But the dizziness and just unrest, just not being able to settle down, not really feeling relaxed in any situation at home. It just kept kind of escalating a bit. I didn't like seeing the turbine in my backyard, but I was kind of taking one for the team. I really didn't. I didn't say a thing. I didn't worry about it. And I even told friends, well, it just kind of makes a whooshing noise. It's not too bad. I'll probably get used to it. And, but when I come, so I kind of lived with it and thought, well, as soon as the season's over, I'll get some rest and adjusted nutrition and all that kind of thing to try to take it on like it was something in me that was going on.
I'm a florist, and I work out of my house.
And you grow lots of
and
things.
I grow a lot of things on my property. We've got sort of about a bigger plantings and organic kind of garden there. Always out in and outside a lot. It's not so easy anymore. In October, though, I was working on my last wedding of the season, and it was my goddaughter's wedding, and I was working hard on it. It was beautiful, but I was loading my van, and I slipped, and I tripped, and I fell right on my face. And my hand didn't go out in front of me, and I kind of stumble all over and climb around a lot in my yard anyway, and that was just so odd. And I knocked all my front teeth out, and fractured into my skull a bit, and hurt. It was kind of a pretty bad accident. And still didn't really put two and two together with the turbine at all. And so then I had to have oral surgery and this and that. My headaches were getting worse and worse. This was mid-October. And in retrospect now I realized the leaves were flying, so the few leaves that are between us and the turbine were also going off. But I really didn't, I assumed that my headaches were worsening, and they were worsening a lot at that point because of my teeth. And it was getting a lot worse. There was a lot of, I couldn't sleep, and my head was just pounding. When the winds changed, the head starts to really pound. But I still didn't put it with the turbine until I took my mother after Christmas. So this was a couple months after the accident, and everything was healing up and everything. I took my mother out to California to meet her great-grandbabies. And I don't like to travel too much. It's kind of stressful for me and everything. But within 12 hours of getting off the plane, no dizziness, which had been a huge problem, no headaches, no ringing in my ears, which I suffer from a lot, and more so since the turbine. I felt wonderful. I was like, wow, yay, California sunshine. This is just amazing. I love how, I want to go there. I want to stay there forever. I was almost manic. And I felt great. And I came back, and within 4 hours of being home, it's all back. And I went, is this the house? Is this, okay, what is this? And then, so I went up to see my friend who was in Keene in New Hampshire for a few days. And we were actually, it was really cold and we were stuck in our little house inside in a snowstorm, which is kind of, confining. And I felt great. I felt fine. I feel fine when I'm away from my house for more than 12 hours now it takes. And that was the telling thing. I came back within 6 hours. I'm buzzing. My head's hurting. I'm like, and I've had points where I've thrown up and nausea and migraines, and it's escalating big time. And that's how you tell. That's how you know. You go away, you get better. It's really not rocket science. I went out to Portland to see my son last winter. I slept for 3 days because I apparently hadn't really slept for about a year before that. And then I was just bouncing off the walls. I'm like, oh, let's garden, let's dig in the yard, let's do this. And we just bought a house and I was having a ball. And so it's prison at home now. And that's the science of it. It's all I need. I'm living it. I don't need too much more studying on it. Just here I'm sick, there I'm not. If you're somewhere where there's something pounding on your head all day long and you leave, that's what you should do, is you should leave. Which I'm going to do as soon as I can figure out how. And it's too bad it's all so complicated to people that aren't experiencing it or don't listen.
So, can you talk more about your headaches?
They're very, I can tell you they're fist size from one side or the other, depending a little bit on the wind and I think it depends a little bit on where the wind is coming from, or where but it's a fist size cone in the back, and it pinpoints right into the back of this eye, the opposite eye. And it's like a pin is in the back of the eye, and sometimes I lose focus, and that's scary. Definitely comes on as an ache, and then within a few hours, if I don't change my environment, or if I have, often when I'm working, because I can't change my environment when I'm working, and it goes to the pinpoint, like right in the back of the eye, the opposite side, and then next will be some sort of a fluttery nausea starting, and then we're starting to roll into a migraine situation.
So then what it is? What's a migraine situation?
Well, blurry vision for me, pretty heavy vertigo, kind of spinning around and getting up and kind of going, and
I mean, like losing your balance?
losing my, I do that a lot. It's absurd. I don't, and then you just kind of have to fold in and sleep through it, or I've got some medication that I should be taking about when it hits my eye, it seems, to try to avoid it escalating, which I hate doing too. But
does the medication help?
I think a little bit. I think that if I don't take it and I see that coming, my chances of just going into near pass out mode are a lot higher. So I tried a few times not to take that, and it did escalate as it usually does. If I get that pinpoint, I'm heading for a migraine without the barbiturate or whatever it is that she's given me.
So when you say near pass out, do you mean that you have to curl up and go to sleep, or
Kind
that
of.
you get dizzy and you maybe are getting close to it?
Dizzy and nauseous, and then usually you have to kind of curl up and wall out.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
Did you have migraines?
I think I've had one before the turbine.
Okay.
Real one like this one. I thought I did, but no, not like these.
Okay. How old were you when you had the one?
Probably around 40,
Okay.
doing some hormonal stuff that I had going on.
So as a teenager, as a child, as a young
not
woman?
really a headache person.
Okay.
Neck aches, and but it's pretty spinal. I mean, I do chiropractic, and that's what helps my
Mhm.
always helped my headache stuff is mechanical,
Mhm.
stuff. So
But you didn't get migraine type headaches?
not like these. No, I thought I did, but it wasn't like these.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't know what migraines were before that when I thought I had migraines. No, I
Yeah.
think I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what
I'm so
about
glad
what about seasickness or car sickness when you were young or later?
Not too bad. No,
A little bit.
a little. Really, when I was young, I did.
Uh-huh.
But then I pretty much for seasickness, if I keep my eye on the horizon, I'm okay.
Mhm.
You know, I can balance with visually keep that at bay. I can't go down below
Mhm.
and just rock. Visually, I seem to be able to compensate for a lot.
Mhm.
That seems to be how I do everything. Is that
Mhm.
I'm a visual person,
Mhm.
a manual visual person.
What kinds of things, do you feel anything in your ears?
My ears pop a lot.
Mhm.
I feel, the best way I can describe it is you feel like you're in a submarine or you're underwater
Mhm.
in my house.
Mhm.
And you want to kind of get up there and gasp for air.
Mhm.
Or if it's a long time, the other way I describe it that people can understand is it's like you've been sitting there on a plane for 6 hours and you want to get up and get out of there and you got 4 more hours to go or something and you're just like, ugh, you can't sleep and you're trying to talk yourself out of it, but your body says, get me out of here.
Mhm.
My body knows what's going on,
Mhm.
whether you can describe it or not. It wants out of there. It's like, you're not doing okay here, get out of here.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna listen as quick as I can,
Yeah.
but it's a visceral thing. You just know you have to
Yeah.
you're not gonna make it here.
Yeah.
And it's rough on a mental level too, because I made the dirt at my house.
Mhm.
I mean, I designed the house, we built it, I planted a couple thousand shrubs to use in my florist business and on and on and on.
Mhm.
I work there, I'm a homebody, I love being at home,
Mhm.
and it's gone,
Mhm.
so. Starting
So,
over at 54.
yeah.
Wow.
So do you have any ringing in your ears?
I do. And I had tinnitus a bit before.
Mhm.
It's got an orchestra now. It goes up and down, and it's obvious that, I think it was always obvious actually that the air pressure fluctuation for my tinnitus was always a bit of an issue anyway.
Mhm.
It would be I don't know exactly what weather, but in rainy weather where the pressure's lower, it would be worse.
Mhm.
Always, and I've had that for quite a while,
Mhm.
because I had a spinal injury a few years ago. But it's got a symphony going on now. It's like,
Mhm.
this is hello, it's just, it's all over the place now.
Mhm.
And it's much better when I'm out of there. It's much more level. Sometimes it even goes away.
Mhm. And the vertigo and dizziness goes away completely.
It really does, yeah. I don't have that much at all when I'm not home.
And does that happen just with headaches? Is it always?
No, that's pretty much anytime I'm out. When I'm out, there are certain points in my yard that have a heavy reverberation,
Uh-huh.
and in my living room.
Uh-huh.
I can almost map where the vertigo is going to be coming from.
Wow.
Right outside my studio door, there's a really nice little channel of boof, boof, boof.
Mhm.
And that's rough because that's my loading zone.
Mhm.
And then my living room is pretty bad. And then the other side of the house too.
Mhm.
Behind the house is not so bad. So I really could map it just about. So and that vertigo is no fun. I was actually trying to plant one of my gardens where I was trying to grow cut flowers in
Mhm.
June,
Mhm.
and I was on my knees digging, and I got up and I went straight back down.
Mhm.
Um, And when I got up again, I was like, ugh, you know, I had to sit back down. It was just not gonna happen. I was just not gonna get my balance for a while.
Mhm. So have you fallen
Mm-hmm.
several times?
Mm-hmm.
Like how many times have you fallen?
5 or 6 now. Well, other than the big one.
Yeah. So you've fallen 5 or 6
Dizzy,
times.
dizzy, reason without even, the big fall was I tripped a bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't
Put
tip
your hands
myself,
out.
which is odd.
And there was nothing in your hands.
There wasn't, it took a while to figure that out, but I was coming back from putting it in because I didn't break anything, so I'm like, and that's something I do repetitively all the time there, and it just doesn't really make sense, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the reactions are slow, and
Uh-huh.
I think it's like too much input.
Yeah.
That my body's not like getting what's going on.
Or you don't know exactly where you are in space. I mean, really,
Right.
that's what vertigo and
Mhm.
balance disruptions are about.
Yeah, I get up and I kind of go plunk off that way, or
Yeah.
just
And
a
have you
couple
ever
things.
fallen, in
Before?
any other situation? I mean,
No,
People don't
I'm
use
not.
it.
I'm not graceful, but I can move. You know, you
Mhm.
know.
I mean, like you can climb on
Yeah,
things.
I
and-
climb around and I'm active,
Yeah.
and you know, it's just when I get out of there for a few months, we'll have to see how it goes with that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was climbing up and down at my son's house in Portland and just fine,
Mhm.
helping him with his garden.
Mhm. Can you talk about your sleep?
What, sleep?
Okay.
I sleep. I gave up a few months ago and moved to the middle of my basement all the time
Mm-hmm.
because it was just getting so futile when I have to work and I work at home and I was like, I just can't keep doing this. Up in our bedroom, which is just beautiful,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
skylights and the whole thing, it's just, it just wasn't working. And I finally gave up and I'm feeling a bit better. But if there's mold down here, that makes me cough. I mean, it's not a great situation, but I have a beautiful home and I sleep on a futon in the middle of my basement.
But the middle is the place where you feel
The middle
the
of
least.
my, the middle with no walls of my basement.
Yeah.
And, I don't like it down there.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I don't really sleep great down there either, but the fight, I would find myself really waking up going like this and going, ugh, there's a flutter. I think my body is trying to, determine what rhythm it can live with or something with that turbine up there in my bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this flutter and you're like wide awake and you're going, I'm really tired. And you can't, there's nothing you can do about
And you
it.
feel a flutter in
It's
here.
a flutter, it's like you're, and sometimes, I mean, my husband would get up a few nights last winter and I would just be sitting in the living room because I'm trying not to interfere with his sleep,
Mm-hmm.
just weeping and going, I'm so tired.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't, there's no way you can sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I want to run out of here, I want to do this, and you can't rest.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave up on trying to sleep upstairs. And in the basement, I still feel a rumble, but
Mhm.
it's not here, it's more just in the whole cellular level.
Mhm.
It's not as, it doesn't startle you as much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not sleeping well, but I'm not waking up like that.
Startled.
Yeah, it's like adrenaline or something is coming up that just doesn't, and then that gets kicking in and then you're hopeless. You know, if that starts, then how are you gonna get back to sleep? And it's just rolling through you and you can't, there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, my doctor said try Ambien and I'm like, It doesn't do, I tried it twice, and then you sleep through it and you wake up so sick, you can't
Mhm.
even function the next day because your body's been through this and you didn't even know it or something. I don't know, that doesn't work at all.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up going, you know, it's like there's always something that has to be released somehow.
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't work at all.
Mm-hmm.
Motion sickness stuff works a little bit.
Which kind?
I don't know what the prescription one is, but something like Dramamine works
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
to help. I don't like to, and not in, I don't do anything upstairs anymore, but downstairs sometimes when it's really pumping, I will do that, and that will help me get to sleep a little bit, and that helps a little,
Mm-hmm.
so.
What about mood and anxiety and panic?
I used to be really nice, and now I'm not very nice.
Hmm.
I'm pretty much hepped up all the time.
What do you mean?
I'm nervous and panicky and or just depressed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're fighting, and when you're depressed, you're like, you know, there's not a middle ground
Mhm.
much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of them. I'm not me, you know. There's not, I was always a little, I'm always in tune with my need, with my environment anyway. It's not something I love. I'm a sort of a canary in my house, you know. I kind of
Mhm.
know what the dogs are thinking and kind of how the air pressure is. I've always been kind of like that. I'm sort of a natural person
Mm-hmm.
in terms of in tune with stuff. It's not been an asset for this, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. How about your thinking and concentration?
That's really not, it's really hard.
What kinds of things have you noticed?
Just takes
Or any examples?
longer to do things. It's like you'll be working on the computer and go, you know, what side, you know,
Like, what was I doing?
where's the enter key?
Where's the key?
Where's the enter key?
Mhm.
And you shouldn't have to think about that after all these years, you know, it just
No.
seems odd. There's the obvious things that just kind of float off.
Mhm.
It's an overload situation or something. I'm not, you know, that's a hard one to say, but I mean, I'm just, I have a detail-oriented business,
Mhm.
you know, with the wedding flowers, and you gotta get your little list done. And you know, in past years, it's kind of like I will get a mental picture of what's got to go on, and bang, 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 I kind of knock it off. It's what I do.
Mhm.
And those things just kind of, I have to recapture that information all day long.
Mhm.
Like reboot where I am, what I'm doing all day long.
Mhm.
And it's just so strange to be in that situation, because some things after, you know, 10, 20 years, just kind of should have it in your brain by rote. You know?
Mhm.
It's like I gotta reboot all the time.
Mhm.
And just,
Sounds really inefficient.
it's really inefficient, and it causes anxiety because I have to do what I have to do right.
Mhm.
And I don't have a buffer for mistakes, so really everything is falling apart except my business.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, this I have to concentrate, and this I have to make sure I do, and so I focus everything on that, and the rest of it is just falling apart.
Like in terms of your household.
In terms of a house and the taking care of the dogs, and you know, the basic
Mhm.
functions, and you know, the relationships. And my husband is like, whatever, go, you know.
Mhm.
And the other thing that I noticed big time at my house is I don't like to eat there anymore.
Mhm.
No appetite at my house. I will be, you know, out working on a wedding where they have this beautiful food, and I've been working all day, and I'm hungry, and I'm driving home going, I'm really hungry. I'll get home and I don't want to eat.
Mhm.
You know, you just like, look, you know, I will munch, and I will, you know, grab a bowl of almonds or this and that. That's just so weird. And obviously I like to eat. It doesn't, I have no appetite for anything good. I snack on junk, and all that's gone.
Yeah. Is
it's
this
weird.
is this continuous for you at home, or is it happening
The
some
food?
days when the wind is higher, or in certain directions, or is it pretty much with all the different wind? conditions?
I'm pretty much affected every day. Yeah.
And
When
you
it was
sleep?
off one day.
Mhm.
Last week we had a hurricane, and
Mm.
oh, it was the best day of my life.
Wow.
For the whole year. It was great. I'm like, I got up from the basement, and I got up and I woke up and I went, oh, wow. And I went upstairs and it was pouring rain and really windy outside,
Yeah.
and I wasn't
But they'd
in
shut it
tune
down.
to what, they had shut it down, and I
Yeah.
wasn't even in tune to what was going on with that, and I'm like, oh, well, it's Sunday, let's make breakfast.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's
I
not
should have
something
thought
I'm
right
doing.
then and there. Let's make breakfast, and I'm bouncing around. My husband's like, "Wow," he forgot who that was,
Oh.
and I'm doing. I got all my junk done, stupid projects that I have been sitting there waiting to do for people done, and I'm like bouncing around, and I was great. It was wonderful, and I'm like, wow, it's off. It just sounded. It was great, and then I didn't want to go to bed that day. I
Yeah.
was so happy.
Yeah.
The dogs weren't crazy, and
Ah.
I was like, this is. I go to bed. You go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm on the computer and I'm emailing my friend. I have the best day. I'm gonna sleep in my own bed tonight. The thing came back on at about 11:30, and it hit the wall. I mean, it hit the house like a wall of steel, and my mood went. Ugh!
Yeah.
Just immediately, and it was like, boy, it's almost like you were injected with something. It was like,
Yeah.
and but I got one good day.
Yeah.
So I want some more. I have to.
Yeah.
You gotta prove this because it's just too basic.
Mhm.
It's just too basic. This is not. You just have to listen to people
Mhm.
and why would people be leaving their homes that they've paid for their whole lives and worked their whole tails off if they were making it up?
Yeah.
That's what makes me crazy.
Yeah.